Welcome to Coinversations, South Africa's weekly catch-up in coins, banknotes, collecting, and the stories behind the history. With John and Landon, bringing you the latest from the world of South African numismatics. From rare finds to market trends to the stories every collector needs to hear. This is Coinversations.
Welcome back to Coinversations, episode 14, with John and Landon, and we're very excited for tonight, and we've missed you all so much. Tonight's going to be a lucky night where we're going to have some chats. We're going to talk about the South African Coin Collectors Club, some big news that's been developing, and we'll be talking about coin grading tonight as well, in celebration of saying the census and what that can mean for South Africans and why a person collects. So enjoy tonight's episode.
Of course, big things. Yesterday was the end of the AI coin competition, where the winner of that competition is literally going to get their coin struck by Gold Reef City Mint with over 600 entries. John, did you enter?
I did enter, in fact, and I hope you did as well. Listen, this is a competition like no other, and thank you to GRC who's made it possible that this coin, this idea, this concept will be realized and actually be struck. How cool is that? So we're very excited to hear who the winner is. My wife is actually doing those things. She didn't allow me to see what the entries look like, but we're going to see what I hope to see a couple of the entries. It will be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but we do know there are over 600 entries. So I guess it takes a bit of time to decide like the best ones from that. But very excited to see the options. And I mean, in the whole history of South Africa, how many people can say that they've designed their own coin or medallion? Not many. No. So someone's going to have that opportunity. Obviously, a lot of news, a lot of things always getting announced on the South African Coin Collectors Club. The 14th of November, of course, is going to be the Cape Town Coin Show. So we have the date for that one. Is that the best one? I think that's the best one. Still living in Joburg now. I think that Cape Town one's the best one, John.
Listen, Cape Town is special. And, you know, we've had an incredible numismatic year so far. Where we've seen such big strides in our industry, things that have never happened before. Thinking about our meetup at the GRC, writing the next chapter. Every coin show this year has been phenomenal, but there is something special about Cape Town, and of course it includes the year. So, no, I'm looking forward to Cape Town. But before Cape Town, the Bloemfontein Coin Show Coin Show has been announced the 19th of September, and we are very excited for that one. In my opinion, the biggest. No, it's going to be at the Windmill Casino in Bloemfontein. It's going to be hosted again by Bloemfontein Numismatics and TC Coins helping out. And we are, as a community, we are reminded of John Terblanche. We're standing with John Terblanche, and our prayers go with him as he is fighting cancer. You know, he has had a intense year, but we are so grateful that whilst he's fighting this battle, he's still going to be hosting this event, an event that is in Central South Africa. We can remember the auction that Basani's house did to raise funds for him. So, I mean, that battle's still continuing, but we're grateful for John Terblanche and obviously Toby Fruneman from TC Coins for arranging that event. That's also pretty soon.
Yeah, that's like next month.
Next month in Bloemfontein.
We're going to be there, huh?
We're definitely going to be there.
Bring it on, Bloemfontein.
So, all our members that are in Central South Africa, the South African Coin Collectors Club, will be at the Bloemfontein Coin Show, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, talking about medallions, I saw a bit of a bar medallion, the Braai Broodjie one that was on the group. That's quite cool. First time me seeing a Braai and a Braai Broodjie on a coin or a bar.
So something incredible has happened this year in South African numismatics, where I think a lot of guys are realizing you can actually strike your own coins. And there's incredible companies around South Africa that actually have made this available to you. So, I mean, the designs that are coming out, just talking about the AI competition, like what country's ever done that before? I mean, that is revolutionary, and I think it should be celebrated. We saw the release of the Braai Broodjie. I actually quickly got a glimpse of another coin that was recent. You saw that Voortrekker one with a map of how the Voortrekkers were moving. That also was.
I'm not sure which coin.
No, I remember I showed you.
You
Okay.
saw a coin.
I
Okay.
saw a coin, but that was also really, really
Yeah.
nice, nicely done as well. And of course, Cheeky Mongoose released that 1 kg.
Oh yeah, that long ship. Yeah, that's
pretty
impressive. And there's a
cool.
whole series, eh? The
No,
Knights
it's
Templar.
really nice.
There's a few different ones, obviously, in that series.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, being announced is something mysterious. I mean, that's a big announcement.
Hey.
5 Shadows in silver, the South African Coin Collectors Club. Obviously, there's a 5 Shadows in silver song. Obviously, that's come out. Is it just a song, or is there a meaning behind it? That's quite interesting. Also, I saw on the Gauteng group a bit of a post there. I mean, listen, we're not giving many clues away here. Look at that. Breaking news. Something big is brewing. Well, we don't know what, but it's breaking news, John. So that's so exciting with the Coin Collectors Club, is that it seems like every month there's something to look forward to. In September, we got that Bloemfontein Coin Show coming up. We've got the Cape Town one coming up in November. But we have all these things in between that's, I think, so exciting. Whatever big is brewing, it says here 24th of September, which of course is Heritage Day. So let's see what's happening with that.
Listen, and one thing that's been incredible this year is like also when we say something big is brewing, every time our expectations were blown away with what's been happening. So very excited for these announcements. I also would like to say that end of this month, Basani's Auction House will be at the Festival of Motoring.
Yes, yeah, that's
we'll
gonna
be at the
exciting,
Festival of Motoring at Kyalami, the biggest motoring event in the country. And that's going to be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, coins worth more than your car, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, let's make it happen. That's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of different things coming up, but just having that presence there is quite cool.
It's going to be fun.
So obviously tonight, John, we said we're going to talk a little bit about grading, talk about why, we collect. I think when we say why we collect, it doesn't necessarily just mean the two of us.
No.
I think we can talk from different collectors or different perspectives. We obviously do like people in the comments, if you can, comment certain things there. That would be nice if you've got questions or stuff that we can follow up. Cedric, I see you there. We've got quite a few people watching live at the moment.
That's awesome.
Thanks for being here.
So I think before we get into the coin grading aspect, let's discuss why. Why do we collect? I mean, you raised that question with me. Like, why is it that we do collect, Landon?
Okay, well, from my perspective, I think it's not necessarily about the physical coin. I think it's about the history. So it's about the stories. Obviously, loving ZAR coins, knowing that history of the Second Anglo-Boer War, knowing things like the Carl penny and the Carl pond, the rimless, being used as currency when there was no dies to make those coins. The felt point being struck in the felt, where the name obviously came from, right at the end of that ZAR period. The first union coinage with the different monarchs, the history and the evolution almost of South Africa over the years to where it is today. I think you got to love it for that reason. I think one of the big reasons, forgetting about the silver, the gold potential investment. But yeah, I think for me that story is what probably attracts most people in the beginning.
Yeah, and I think the story does matter. So I would like to make a bold statement. So, and if you don't love the story, you can't really be a numismatic collector. You need to kind of fall in love with the story, and there's every type of collector out there. So you get people that love Union, you get people that are banknotes. There's so many things to collect and various stories that one can follow. But it is very special always, sometimes in the office, when someone comes in and tells the story of the particular collection, how it's been passed down, the memories that come with the coins. It's all those things that, it's a priority for us as numismatists to keep those stories alive, tell the story, education, to get that out. So that's the thing that I always love, is to inspire by the stories of the coins of those that have gone before us, especially of our country, and the hardships that we have gone through. There's always that famous saying that he who forgets the past is doomed to repeat it. and I think that's very relevant. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I really do love collecting
Yeah,
coins.
I think, talking about what we've experienced, in the Coin Collectors Club, but just with numismatics in general, it brings all those people together that otherwise wouldn't have been connected.
No,
People
no,
from many different walks of life that suddenly have that connection and that mutual love, and obviously in the hobby. So I think it's the story, it's the history and the meaning behind it. But for me, it's that mutual connection that I get from numismatics. I mean, how many people I've met that I would have never met otherwise,
yeah.
and that's insane, to have that connection. So yeah, I think that's a big part, and we see it a lot with the meetings we have with the South African Coin Collectors Club. How much it means for everyone.
Yeah, and I'm reminded of when we had that interview with Thomas van der Spray, the founder of the South African Coin Collectors Club, as to why he founded it. And it's about the community. It's about really having that fun and having something to share with someone else. I mean, the world is as tough as it already is, So this is one of those things that brings color into one's life, just brings joy into it. And I must say, this year has been so much fun engaging with the community as we've gone across the country. So we're very excited to go back to Central South Africa and Bloemfontein. We had a good meetup there with TC Coins, and of course Cape Town. So it's so fun to meet up with everyone as we go along.
Yeah, and always experience the different stories, and
Yes.
also it brings out different coins, like
Yes.
different things that we might not see. You know how exciting it is. I still have that, like a lot of people think when you work with coins every day, you start almost forgetting how rare they are. But there's so many cool items, whether you see a double nine or you see a Burgersman Corsbeard or a Sammy Marks Tiki or so many things that hold so much history. I think about, even for me, with banknotes, seeing a £100 banknote like an
Yeah.
Image de Coq, or seeing just a serial number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on a banknote. You know how cool that
Yeah.
is. To see all the variety and stuff, and it's nice to talk about that and also share it with people. Yeah, so if you guys do have any questions, bring it on. Obviously, John, we are going to go into coin grading.
Yes.
Starting out, how important do you think it is to buy like high graded coins? Probably not that important.
Starting out,
Yeah.
no, I would not start out buying the highest. But as we heard from the founder of the Coin Club, when it comes to buying your collection, and I've gone through this the last 2 years, like that transition where in the beginning, most new buyers are very passionate and they're excited and they're buying everything they want,
Yeah.
and they don't really have that direction. We spoke about that direction, because sometimes people get exhausted about just, they don't know what they're really collecting. They've got a coin there. So I do think it is important that when you're buying graded coins, obviously not to buy the lowest end. There was a big key that rather buying a bulk amount, rather get one quality and trying to upgrade from there. So everyone does share a different opinion on this, but I am of the opinion that try buy within your budget, of course, but the best your budget can afford. Obviously, you do get some fillers that are fine to get in lower grades to start off with, but as far as you possibly can, do try with your budget to get the best quality coin.
Yeah, I suppose the idea that we have in that sense is that, you'd rather have one really good quality coin than have like 10 or 15 average coins,
Yeah.
right? So that's a big part, I guess, that many people will tell you. But in the beginning, when you're so excited, you want a little bit of everything, right?
Of course.
So I always see like going to collectors where they have those albums and you have like your union coins. You know how cool it is to see 1923 to like 1960 and one of every year, or
That's that's still very impressive to have that. Yeah.
1931, huh? Tiki.
1931. We actually saw some facts recently.
Yeah.
Some
Well, I was
counterfeits,
like, I haven't seen one, John, in a while.
yeah.
1931 Tiki, yeah, that's a big coin. Is it
Yeah.
overrated?
Oh, good question. I'm gonna go no. I
No?
don't think I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. In fact, I think it's correctly rated, and there's a lot of coins in South African numismatics that are extremely underrated.
Okay, I'll go with that. So
Yeah.
so the essence is that the 1931 Tiki is worth more than other coins that have lower mintages, right? So then from that perspective, you'll say, oh, the 31's overrated. Or even like a 59 crown, a lot of people would say it's overrated compared to other coins that have lower mintages. But it's probably not, right? It's probably
not.
because the
It's
other
not.
coins are underrated. Talking about a 1931 halfpenny, the halfpenny in proof obviously is a Sate with an S.
Yes.
It only comes out in proof. So you got a mintage of 62. There's 0 business strikes, way more rare than a 1931 Tiki, but it's worth 6, 7, 8 times less, in comparison. That's a very, very underrated coin. But if we're going to start talking about underrated coins, we're going to, there's so many.
I'm just happy to see that in this last year, and hopefully it continues, right? And it is dependent on the market and the collectors, of course, and this transition period we are going through. But I would love to be at a point where our barriers are being pushed forward. We've seen with the 59 crown this year where I would say normal prices were 7,000, 8,000 Rand for a graded PF 63, 64. And we've pushed that to 14,000, 15,000 we've seen on auction. And, that's been a big stretch for the 59 crown. But I would love to see the continuation of that where it's market related. It's not just outliers that go for a lot, but where we actually see appreciation of these items as the demand does grow for them, and where it's actually realized, and we look at the Hearn catalog and say, listen, these coins are very, very rare.
Yeah. Yeah, we see that consistently with key date coins. So
Yes.
whether it's 1931, whether it's 65 or the 59 crown, they seem to do overwhelmingly better than the catalog value, right? Every time. I think Afrikaans 1 Rand, the catalog I think is 17,500. You will impossibly find that coin for that price. It's going to go for 30, 40, 50,000 every time. So there's, even an Afrikaans 1 cent goes way above catalog. So there's so many coins like that, and I think it's a key date thing where if it's not from that date, there's other rare coins that should be more expensive, but it just doesn't have that feeling.
And one thing that I'm very happy for is that extremely underrated coins are getting attention again. One of them for me is the ZR 5 shillings, the double shaft and the single shaft. And looking on minted now, that the double shaft in mint state, the minted average price is 30,000 at this point. So it has increased where people are realizing this thing in mint state is really, really rare. So very excited to see that these coins are getting much more recognition. Some people think they're overpaying. I don't think it's the case when it comes to these things. I think they are reaching the value they're supposed to.
Yeah, think about a double shaft and a single shaft again. It's a story, right?
It's a massive
So
story.
you don't just have a ZAR coin, firstly, that is the biggest in size, right? Same as the crowns, it's at 28.28 grams. But it's got that story with I think it's such an incredible story, talking obviously with the wrong, obviously wagon on that coin.
Yes.
Otto Schultz, obviously his initial on Paul
Yes.
Kruger. It's things like you can't write that, right? It's like it's like a perfect accident that leads to this really controversial thing, and obviously with the coins we have today. I see we got a comment here. It's Brian Hearn in 1986. He said, "If you collect choice grade coins, you will not be sorry. Choice coins are an excellent investment. And if you follow sound guidelines, you will make money with many hours of enjoyment." So that's a quote many years ago from Brian Hearn. It's where he's basically saying collect the best of the best. But that's tough though, because I get when you're starting out, you're overexcited about something, and maybe that's a natural progression. So for the first few years you start out, you want to buy everything, and you realize, oh, I probably overpaid on this. I shouldn't have bought 10 of the same coins. I shouldn't have done this. And then you start focusing on higher grades or more specific things, right? I guess that's normal.
Yeah, and speaking about the best of the best, I really want to discuss the saying census and what we have already seen happening in the market because of it. So on Minted Mondays, the best auction at Basani's auction
house. The best auction on Mondays? Or?
Yeah. No, but recently, we had a 1952 proof set on, and 5 shilling was sold for 2,200 Rand before commissions, and it was the finest known at Sangs. It was the standalone top pop, and I haven't seen a 1952 sell for that price before proof, and this one already got that price. Now I'm thinking already within a year's time, having that standalone top pop at Sangs it can be a pretty good buy.
Yeah.
You know, as the demand does grow.
Well, I
and
mean, we've
it's like-
seen NGC standalone top ups go for insane prices, right? And a
Yeah.
big thing that I feel like Sangs and the census there is probably going to do a lot better than NGC in the next few years is that in NGC, firstly, the price was quite expensive, right, to grade a coin.
Yes.
So that eliminated a lot of coins. A lot of coins that are worth 100, 200 to
Are not getting
500
graded.
rand, you're
Yeah.
not grading
You're
them.
not grading them, no.
And now with the Sang census, you have access to that. So it's giving attention to coins that probably formerly did not have attention. So imagine that 52 crown, probably one of the most common crowns.
It is.
But now, if you have one in proof like or proof, why not grade it? Right?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same as, you know, for me in my birth year, I've got a 1996 proof set, and I was devastated 2 weeks ago because I had 4 top ups. And I saw someone else now broke the 2 of them.
Yeah.
So now I've only got 2. So now, you know, it creates that competition where something like a 1996 1 rand, right? I've got a PF69, but now I want a 70 because someone else has a 70. So it creates that, and I think Sangs is going to probably be way better for the South African market than what NGC has ever been.
Look, and I must say, like, and this is a kind of endorsement for Sanks, but really it's worth it. I mean, if you've got really nice coins, ungraded coins, and you think, you know what, why not grade them? Why not grade them? It is affordable in South Africa to grade with Sanks. There is the census now, and we have a lot of collectors headhunting already those higher end graded coins at Sanks for the census. So really exciting things happening there. You have a comment?
Yeah, we got one here. It says smaller collections and various field beginnings. You learn a lot about numismatics. So the idea obviously is about going into the cheaper stuff is probably where you learn a lot, right? We see this. I've always thought about this trend. A 1898 penny is the most common ZAR coin, right? But you'll see a 1898 penny ungraded sell for 200 rand, where you'll see a 95, 96, 97, 3 pence, 6 pence, or even sometimes 1 shilling actually sell for less than that price. And that's silver, you know.
Yeah.
So there's weird things in the market sometimes where, you know, things that should be more expensive isn't, you know, looking at a 1898 pont that often you can get at the gold price, you know, at spot.
That's so sad.
But then a quarter ounce, which is similar in gold value, you'll pay a little bit of a premium, you know, for that Kruger Rand as an example. So there's lots of things where if you look at it right, investment wise, you can make very, very good buys. I think with that. But yeah, talking about the grading, John, have you graded your birth year yet?
I've not graded my birth year yet, but there's some really cool. I would share my coins. Someone recently told me I don't collect ZAR coins, and I took that personally. So
Okay.
I'll show my ZAR coins.
Oh, you got a few now,
I've
eh?
got a couple. I've got a
Yes.
couple.
And the banknotes? Are they?
Yeah, I've got a banknote.
You got one banknote, John?
I've got one banknote, and I'm actually happy. And that's we're gonna kind of discuss it, but the grading aspect, and I've been practicing my eye. You know, there's the whole. I think where the most fun is, right? If you've really developed your eye with grading and you're really good at it, and I have to humbly say I'm not yet. But if you do have an eye and you go and regrade a coin or a note and get that grade higher, man, I must say that sense of accomplishment you feel is like insane. But I actually did regrade a note, and it did come back as an error.
Okay.
So, yeah,
And
so-
it wasn't before, huh?
No, it wasn't graded.
Same grade or?
Same grade, but it was graded error now.
Yeah, but now imagine the feeling of grading a coin, and then when you get it back, it's a worse grade, though.
That has happened to me.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? I mean, if you're gonna regrade items, it's not always gonna go your way. You know, you got to accept that, and it's part of it. But yeah, I suppose money-wise, that's also a big part. Imagine seeing an AU graded coin, regrading it, and now it's a mint state, right? Imagine that
That's the dream.
amount of money
That-
you'd
yeah,
save.
That's the dream.
You know, that's obviously what most people
Yeah.
are potentially looking for, especially when you buy coins ungraded, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Look, and the awesome thing about it now is, and we've also heard this from all the collectors and dealers, is that in the past, you only got a list, right, of the coins you're purchasing from someone. You'd get a list, 1893 half port. You had no idea what the condition is or anything. But now, with, I'm just talking on Basani's behalf, the photo quality that we have showcasing the coins, I mean, you can really see how the coin looks just on the auction. So it does help. Obviously, inspecting the coin physically is is the best, but it's really been made much easier than in the past.
Well, imagine buying a coin without any photos. I mean, that's back in the
Yeah.
day, and we've heard the
Lottery
stories
tickets,
about
eh?
Bob Shop where
Yeah.
you're literally trusting the guy that's selling the coin to you, right? Without it, so that is quite a difference, right, compared today to many years ago. But obviously, you've got to use technology. Obviously, a lot of AI things. I remember from writing the next chapter. Obviously, Dario from Sangs was there, and also speaking about future developments involving AI. In
Yeah.
coin grading. So I do think we're probably going to see coin grading change a lot in the next decade or so. And yeah, that's also exciting. But I like that sensor. So
I like the sense, and I just want to talk on the AI. Look, I've got to be honest. I've tried to use it like where AI tries to grade a coin for you. It makes mistakes, guys. It does make mistakes, and I still think you still have to learn that element. It can obviously help you learn, but I mean, I told it, listen, grade this coin for me, and it gave me the wrong year and everything. I'm like, listen, it's not there yet, so just fully relying on that is not the best. But let's talk about coin grading a bit, Landon, and just help with the basics a bit. So we've compared something.
we got some coins here.
Yeah, we've got some things here. When we're trying this now to share this with you as we go along, so not too sure how this is going to go, but we would just like to go through the anatomy of what coin grading looks like, and obviously, I think we should do an episode with the
Yeah,
Sangs
I
man.
think we should put
We
some
should-
pressure on the Sangs
Yeah,
man
we
to
should
come
put-
on
yeah, the Sangs
to an
man. He
episode.
must definitely come.
How to read and grade a coin. We've got there.
Yo, right. So, okay. So how to read and grade a coin. So, um, contrary to belief, there's actually three sides to a coin, guys. It's not just the obverse and the reverse, but you get the edge as well. And this is also something that is looked at when we are grading coins. Looking at what is on side of the coin. Now, obviously, these images aren't that big, but we can share on the group if you want to go through it. So we've got to look at the camera. There we go.
Yes,
We've got to look
we're
at
in
the
trouble
camera.
here. So obviously a big thing that a lot of people get wrong just for interest's sake is you got the reverse and the obverse of the coin. The obverse in South African coins is usually where the monarch or Paul Kruger or the coat of arms is going to be on, and that's actually the heads of the coin. A lot of people think it's the other side where the actual head is of the monarch or of what it is. But obviously we got an example here with the beautiful R5 that's currently in circulation. That's the tail of the coin where the whales are obviously on there, and that's the reverse. And then obviously you've got the obverse, which is the head of the. I do think this is one of the better coins that we've had in South African history, design wise. Very, very cool.
Yeah, so obviously on the coin you get the field, the background of the design, and I think this is an element that graders do look at a lot is how the fields do look. Obviously the denomination, the relief of the coin, how it was struck, security details. But I would say that when it comes to grading, the fields do play a big role.
Yeah.
In the grading.
Well, when you look at the fields, that's obviously all the open parts of that, or the blank parts of the coin, where there's no design on it. And that's where you usually see the scratches, the surface hairlines quite frequently.
Yes.
So a lot of coins you guys are going to have at home, they've obviously had a lot of friction over the years. They've been touching other coins. They've been dropped. There's so many things have happened. And that's a big part that disqualifies a lot of coins from getting a numeric grade. So you're seeing your XF details, AU details. Very likely, a lot of details coins are going to be scratched surface hairlines or scratches, right? Then you obviously also get the polish part of it. Obviously if you guys have been in properly trying to clean those coins.
Yeah, and then the legend's also something to discuss. So the legend is usually the lettering around the coin, usually is South Africa or the monarch's name or anything like that. And then also because it's a high point, like sometimes there is damage to that as well. So also something to take into consideration, the legend. And then the edge and the rim, right? So we've heard of rim nicks, something that always you look at the rim. Anything you would like to comment on?
Yeah,
that?
so once you see that big damage on the rim, you're also not going to get a numeric grade. So that's a big part. And obviously, John, talking about the high points of a coin, when we go with ZAR coins and we see Paul Kruger, for example, looking at the hair of Paul Kruger, how many different strands. You can see looking at the eyebrow, looking at the beard, points that are higher on the coin, those are the points that get damaged first and lose the detail. So often when you guys have a coin with Paul Kruger on, he might look perfect, but his hair is completely, solid into one smooth, and that's also going to obviously create a much lower grade for the coin.
Yeah, and then we get to a couple of photos here, proof like, and mint state. Do you have this one, my dear? Right, so this is always interesting, and I've got to be honest, when it comes to the silver coins, determining if it's proof like or proof, man, I'm not that good yet. I'm not that good yet determining it yet, but we will have the sayings, man, hopefully soon.
Yeah, I do think it is easier on gold coins than it is on silver, and I think also silver is easier than copper. Or bronze coins in general. Obviously looking here, we've got a simple example here of different types of grades, proof cameo, proof ultra cameo, and that's also related to the frosting, whether you have a double frosting, a single one, obviously, and how the design of the coins has been. When it comes to proof like and MS proof like proof in South African coins, you're going to see that matters a lot when it comes to crowns. Where obviously you get your proof like on the next Sunday auction on the weekend wonder coming up next week. Of course, we have a 47 proof like crown, which is not supposed to be minted in proof like. So there's a zero mintage. So suddenly it's a coin that it's a PL62, but it's a 20,000 Rand plus coin because of that rarity. So proof like, especially with 1 Rand nickel coins, the coins that are not supposed to be minted in proof. I think it's 78 to 79, 80, 81, that period of the 1 Rand coins. Those nickel ones, they're not supposed to be in proof, and then all of a sudden a proof like grade can make a 100 Rand coin into a 5,000 Rand coin. So those are the ones for South Africa that you'd find it being a bit more important, with the proof like and the proof also. Obviously proof coins are also part of that, when it comes to Kruger Rands. They're part of the personal asset, which is obviously capital gains tax free. So comparing the bullion to the proof, that also makes a big difference. But what do you like more, John? Mint state, proof like?
It depends. It depends what you collect, right? So sometimes if you get a proof grading, it means more. Sometimes if you get a mint state grading, it means a lot more. So it depends what it is you collect. But obviously, proof finishes are always stunning. A proof finish is something really stunning. Unfortunately, Sanks doesn't grade ultra cameo, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I've seen.
They don't grade.
I assume it's just PF, and then they obviously do proof likes for some of the coins that will get that, and then obviously there's MS. Obviously, I'm not too sure. I don't want to talk about all of their grading designations, but that's. I think you're right. Talking about obviously different grades, John. I like mint state a bit more, compared to the proof coins, because mint state coins are coins that went into circulation. They're not meant to be in a very good condition, and to have that, for me, I feel like it's a bit more special, where a proof coin was meant to go to a collector. When you see a proof coin, it's meant to look very nice, so it's a different type of feel. But I understand obviously proof coins do look a lot better than the MS ones also.
Right, so here we have a simple illustration of the grades of the coins. We'll get that picture up for you right now. Just looking at Poor 1, we actually have a coin in that grade at the moment, on auction at Basolis.
Yeah, it's actually tonight. It's the first time that I've ever in my life seen a PO1 coin graded at NGC. And quite interesting, it's a 23 coin, so it's from that first year, and it's also the only one with that grade. So the chances of getting a PO1 grade is probably more difficult than getting a mint state grade, ironically enough.
Yeah, it is ironic. Because, you're always going to get either details or some type of damage. So obviously just having a quick look through this, obviously G4, F12, V30. We also did get a V25, the V35. Well, how do we grade them?
It's VF20, VF25, 30. Obviously, from 40 it goes to XF.
XF. XF45.
And then AU50 for the
AU50.
And obviously, the better the quality, we can understand, the more expensive the coins become. It's quite easy to get, because the better the quality, the more rare, obviously, the coin is also. I know, for example, in 1931 Tiki, the business strike, I think the highest grade is a VF50, if I'm not mistaken. So you do get coins that don't have mint state ever graded. I think it's at a 41 shilling, also very, very rare. There's a lot of coins around the 50s, 40s that have very low numbers in mint state, talking about 1893 1 shilling. I think there's only 5 of them ever graded in mint state. So, talking about coins like that, it obviously also does make it quite a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and when I was starting out to collect, my uncle always told me, if possible, don't buy anything less than AU. That was his advice to me, kind of my advice to you. But like he always told me, if you're gonna buy graded coins, it's still rather appealing if it's AU. Obviously, as you said, certain coins you don't get in high grades. Most of them have been well circulated. But yeah, as we're continuing through here, obviously, what's been interesting learning about grading, as soon as you hit mint state, there's actually this beautiful graph that shows, the areas and how you grade the coins. When it gets to 60 to 69 or 70, I mean, the differences are minuscule. Like, that's really, really difficult, especially on circulated coins, determining 61, 62, 63, 64. And we know when it gets to those grades, it can have a much bigger price difference as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that, obviously, talking about coins that are AU58 and then, the same coin in a 61. They're very close in terms of condition, and that often, you could find double the price difference, so
easily.
So it's then becoming are you buying the grade or are you buying the coin? Where a lot of people always say you buy the coin and not the grade, because obviously what we spoke about earlier, where a lot of AU coins might be a little bit better than what we think they are, or what they are graded as. I think about a Sammy Marks Tiki as an example. You can get an AU Sammy Marks Tiki probably now for about 200,000. Where if you wanted an MS 61, 62, you're probably going to get closer to 350, 400,000. And there's so many similar examples to that. So you probably you want the MS if you can afford it. If you can't, often the AU58 is a very good choice.
Yeah, look, if you are able, right, you have to understand that these grading companies are also human. I mean, it's human graders, and on the day, so buy the coin. Let's just say buy the coin, because we've seen at Pisani's a couple of mistakes when it comes to from the grading companies.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was about 2 years ago, John. There was we actually sold on a signature auction. It was a Burgers Bond coarse beard, but it was a fine beard incorrectly graded as a coarse beard. So on the description, everything it said, obviously it was a fine beard. And then, talking about NGC, it's not to target them, but imagine making a mistake between a fine beard and a coarse beard, because instantly it makes a very big price difference for that coin. A mint state coarse beard is potentially a 700,000 rand plus coin. A mint state fine beard is not, so it's potentially hundreds of thousands of rands of difference. So mistakes like that with big coins, obviously, is stuff that people remember. The mistake with cheaper coins, often if it's a 58 but graded as a 61, it's not something people are going to remember, right? No. But yeah, there obviously are things we have seen over the years, a proof coin that's graded as a mint state, the mint state coin that's graded as a proof, and often that can create big differences in the value of the coin. So it's not ideal, for things like that to happen. I do think mistakes are still probably very low.
Very, very
percentage-wise, but they definitely do happen.
Yeah. Right. Continuing. So obviously the big well, let's say the reports, like you can get a F coin, a VF coin, XF, AU, and mint state. So for any collector out there, we've seen with Saints, a tremendous amount of people starting to grade their coins. Now, as you develop an eye, would you recommend it? I wouldn't recommend. If you're going to grade a coin and you're like, listen, this is probably going to come back as a VF or an F coin, I don't think it's worth grading.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on it?
It probably becomes worth grading again if it's those key date coins, right? So if it's a 59 crown, or if it's like a 1892 coin, or if it's sentimental to you. So for me, I've got the first coin I ever had. I've got it graded, and it's not because it's valuable. It's just that sentimental part of it. So I think
Yeah.
you've got to look at it from that perspective. But obviously, if your coin is clearly polished, a lot of scratches, it's not nice, it's not necessarily worth grading, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some exceptions, John. I mean, you want to grade your first coin.
No, of course you want to. Of course you want to. So we're talking now from a business perspective, if you would like to say, getting the value back for your items. But just talking about grading and finishing it up now. So, in sequence, what do you look for when you are grading? Identify the coin you have and its attributes. What is its good points? What is strong points? Um, authenticate the authenticity of it. We've actually seen a
Mm.
lot of errors and replicas recently. It's pretty scary how good these are. We've seen those tungsten Kruger hands, and like it's really scary the way they're
Yeah, I
coming
think
out. So,
talking about that, John, just to interfere,
yeah,
I think when it comes to certain coins, the condition doesn't matter. Then it also becomes worth grading. So I think about shipwreck coins,
of
just to
course, yeah,
say that they're genuine. I think about error coins, where it's about the mistake on it. It's not
no,
about the condition necessarily. If it's really beautiful toning on the coin, if it's banknotes and you've got some error on it. I saw recently a banknote with two different serial numbers on it.
yeah, that's
Now, the
cool.
condition doesn't matter, right? Because the value is in
Yes,
the mistake. So there are obviously things like that. I think in South Africa, and I'll probably continue to say it for decades to come, error coins are very underrated. And I think error notes in general too. I recently saw on Heritage where they had an auction where it was an American banknote series, and it was number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 serial number, and it went for over $200,000. In South Africa, we're going to see number 1 to number 5 sell for not even 10,000 rand. So there's so many things where we have a market that's very focused on gold and silver and the value of that. And I think realizing rarity means that the silver and gold content doesn't necessarily matter. Where we look at a 1923 half sovereign selling for 10 times or more than what that gold value is. Or we look at a 1893 half pont, if we ever saw a mint state version selling for potentially over R1 million, but the
yeah,
gold content is 8,000 rand. So, there are certain things where it's not about gold and silver. It's about the true rarity of it. And I think we do miss that a lot in South African numismatics, where items that really should be looked at as very rare and special sometimes aren't. And maybe we just don't have the market, I suppose,
yeah.
for that.
Let's see if we've got any comments. But I mean, in that side, if you turn it on its flip side, you could be making a massive buy as the market matures. Then you could be buying these things that are
Hmm.
supposed to have rarity or for more value,
Yeah.
and you could be getting them closer to the spot price of the item, which is a crime in a sense. But you could be making those big wins at this moment. So if you do find something that like, listen, this is oddly rare, or this is something special, and you get it for that low price, I really think if you hold on to that and the market does mature as we see it is, I really think you can be maximizing in the
Yeah,
future.
and value is in rarity,
Yeah,
right? Often where we see, people then forget about that gold and silver and go over that. So when you
yeah,
have items where, I look at many South African patents, you can get a 1965 pattern 1 cent coin for cheaper than a 1965 Afrikaans 1 cent coin. But the pattern has a mintage of only 50, right?
yeah,
Where Afrikaans 1 cent has a mintage of closer to 1,000. So there's so many things that if you really do look at it and you look at, I mean, there's some Burgess Pond patterns that have mintages of 5, of 3.
yeah.
There's so many patterns that have only one known. Looking at all of those type of items, that's probably the crime, I suppose, where a lot of things should be a lot more expensive. But saying that, things are only worth what people are willing to pay for them.
It's true.
And yeah, we got to also look at it for that.
It's true, and I recall Thomas van der Steen mentioning that with his collection. It's like, I remember a discussion with him, like, what's rarer than the coins he has is another buyer,
Yeah.
another buyer for it. So, as this market matures, and we hope it does mature, we hope the community does keep growing, and we get new collectors in that can appreciate these things for what they are, what truly rare they are. I mean, I was walking around in the mall the other day, and you see these limited edition shoes. So for curiosity, I went into Chat GPT, like, okay, how many limited edition of these shoes have actually been made, and it's millions. There's
Yeah.
millions of these shoes that have been made, but they're limited edition and they're going for this ridiculous price. And I'm thinking that's not rare. What we're working with is genuinely rare. You will not see it again. It's not perishable, in the sense of the gold and silver items. So I really do think there's a lot of growth that can still occur.
Yeah, and I think in South Africa we are very blessed with vintage figures.
Yes.
I look at what's happening in America with their numismatics. It's a lot bigger and more mature than what we are, and they've got coins with mintages of 100,000 or 500,000, and the coins are selling for very high prices in Mint State, right? And look at us, where you got a Sammy Mark sticky 215, a Burgerspont Corspiet I think is 184. You've got the double nine that's 120. A Feldpont is less than 1,000. The fine beer is 695. That's insane, right?
Yeah.
Talking about that rare Space Ranger Privy that we've seen recently, that's only 500, right?
Yes.
So there's so many items that we have in South African numismatics where even 1,000 sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I think when we realize that, we start really finding a lot of these rarities, obviously, in the coins. We've got a lot of. When will the Coin Collectors Club be visiting Bloemfontein? Johan asks.
The 19th of September, the South African Coin Collectors Club will be there. I'm very excited for Bloemfontein, obviously my hometown. So very excited. Bloemfontein's always a good coin show, so really looking forward to meeting the community again there. And of course, we've got the Cape Town Coin Show, the 14th of November. So really looking forward to end of the year strongly with the Cape Town Coin Show.
Yeah, and I see Jan says here he wants us to contact him. Obviously, if you do have any questions, you can contact John or myself on Instagram. Also, obviously, email John.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to contact us. We're also on the WhatsApp groups. So if you've got any questions, we're on those groups as well. So yeah,
and John loves it if you guys do phone him on at 10 o'clock at night. He wouldn't mind John having some conversations.
Conversations at 10 o'clock.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
No, maybe don't. Maybe wait until tomorrow morning at like 9 o'clock, guys. Yeah, so obviously, there's so much about coin grading, and like you said, John, we don't necessarily know too much about it. We obviously learn over years, but I think it would be nice to get experts, obviously, SANGS potentially, and try to do an interview and see where SANGS is going in the future. But I do think it is exciting, coins that people don't care about, now they do care about it. And I think a lot of South African coins deserve that. So, whether we saw, I think it was a 1965 standalone finest known coin the other day going for over 3,000 Rand. We're seeing these things. And again, if you want the best of the best, obviously it does mean you have to necessarily pay more money for it, so it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and I mean, to come into conclusion of today's episode, and we've barely touched on it, and I don't think we had the full right, and we would love to have the SANGS man here to explain more about it. But coin grading, when it comes to that, I think it's really compared to art. When you look at a masterful painting, it's like you can appreciate it, but until you don't understand what goes in behind it, there's so much more to discover with coin grading. I mean, we were learning about the types of forgeries they've been with Kruger Ponder, and to how to identify. There's so many interesting things and stories out there. We mentioned, of course, the first year of ZR mintage and identifying the double shaft, the single shaft, all those small things. It really does add. So we hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Any closing thoughts from you, Landon?
Yeah, obviously a lot of exciting things coming up with the AI competition.
Yes.
So excited to see that medallion in the next few weeks. Hopefully the start of that process, and a lot of news coming out from the South African Coin Collectors Club that you guys have to be tuned in. I might know something on the inside about something that's happening.
You always know something, guys. Landon just knows everything.
I'm not even telling John about it.
No,
guys.
he's got
that's
these
how
secret meetings. It's like top level things.
That's how
guys.
exciting things are happening,
Jeez.
guys. But yeah, that's how you build anticipation. You don't want everyone to know.
Yeah, and I remember. I'm just gonna check. The traveling coin is off to another country.
Country.
Yeah, which country did the traveling coin leave to?
China.
Yeah,
Hey.
the traveling coin is visiting China at the
That's
moment.
quite a few
Yeah.
kilometers. I mean, we're
Yeah.
obviously keeping track of all the kilometers and everything that the traveling coin's going to. So that'll be interesting at the end of the year to be like, the distance that it's traveled.
It's going to the top of the highest mountain in China.
Wow, the
Oh,
top of the
wow.
highest mountain
Mountain
in
in China,
China.
wow.
Wow. Yes, I mean, I think we're jealous of this
Yeah,
traveling coin
we're
now.
jealous of this coin. I mean, have you seen its passport? It's pretty impressive where this coin has been.
Well, that is cool, eh? It might be the only coin with a passport.
It is. It possibly is. Right, guys, it's been so much fun, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you've got any questions, please do feel free to contact us on the WhatsApp groups. Ask your questions there. But yes, very excited to hear who's the winner of the AI competition. It's history being made as we speak, and of course we've got exciting events coming up where the South African Coin Club will be. And if you haven't ordered your second edition of the Coin Collector, please do so. You can do that through the contact details, Georgia Hamer on the groups. Enjoy your evening, guys.
Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. Let's go. Coinversations.
Coinversations.
Let's go, John.
Yeah.
See you guys.